I haven't slept in days because something in my house melts light bulbs and whispers in my voice. I don't know what it wants, but it's changing the house. And I think it started to change me. Where are you watching from tonight? Somewhere well lit, I hope? I just needed somewhere quiet. That was it. A place with 4 walls, a roof, and no memories. I didn't care about charm or location. I didn't even care about the neighborhood. I just wanted space to breathe. When I found the listing online, it felt like the universe was giving me a break. The photos were plain. Nothing creepy. Nothing weird. Just a narrow little house with pale siding and a yard that hadn't been mowed in a while. The price was suspiciously low, but I told myself people overthink everything. Maybe someone just wanted to offload it quickly. Maybe the plumbing was trash. I didn't care. It was quiet. It was mine. The first night passed like most first nights in a new place. Too many echoes. Too much silence. I didn't sleep much, but I didn't expect to. Around 3 a.m., I got up to get a glass of water. The hallway light, which I'd left on, because I wasn't about to navigate a stranger's house in the dark, was off. At first, I assumed the bulb had died. Then I saw it on the floor, unbroken, sitting right under the socket. I stood there for a minute, just staring at it. Who unscrews a bulb and leaves on the floor? I didn't hear anything during the night. No footsteps, no creaking, no click of the switch. Just the light off and the bulb waiting. I screwed it back in and didn't think too much of it. Maybe I hadn't tightened it all the way. Maybe it fell and somehow didn't break. My mind threw out a dozen explanations, and I accepted the first one that made the moment feel less weird. The second night, I left every single light on. Every room, even the ones I wasn't using. I just wanted to feel like the house was awake with me. When I woke up this time, again, around 3, I already knew something was off. The light from under my door was gone. I opened it slowly, like I was expecting someone to be standing there. No one. Just dark. The hallway light was off again. Except this time, the bulb wasn't on the floor. It was shattered. Pieces in a perfect little ring. Like it had exploded right there in the socket. I hadn't heard a pop. Not even a flicker. That's when I started keeping track. Not in a notebook or anything. Just mentally. A little counter in my head. Every time the lights went out, they came back. Wrong. Not always broken. Sometimes they'd flicker when I walked past, or turn off exactly when I looked at them. Once, the bulb in the bathroom turned on after I shut the door. I told myself it was the wiring. Old houses do weird things, right? Then came the morning I walked out the front door and found myself staring at the backyard. Same house, same door, just no street, no mailbox, no sidewalk, grass up to my knees, and the same rusted shed I'd seen out the back window the day I moved in. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just stood there, one hand still on the knob, trying to figure out what part of the house I'd come from. I backed up slowly, shut the door, and stood in the entryway for a long time. I kept thinking I must have opened the wrong door. Maybe I was tired. Maybe I was facing the wrong direction. But when I opened it again, still holding my breath, it was the backyard. The front door didn't face the street anymore. And I don't remember hearing it move. I stopped inviting people over. Not that I had many friends left to begin with. The few that did show up couldn't hide their confusion. Why does your front door open into your backyard? I told them I was doing renovations. No one ever asked twice. They all left early. The house had started shifting in ways I couldn't explain, and I didn't want to try. The hallway I used to cross in 5 steps now stretched twice as long. Maybe more. I used to count the doors, bedroom, bathroom, coat closet. Now, there was an extra one. No idea where it led. I opened it once and found a blank wall. Next day, it opened into the laundry room. I remember standing there with the door wide open, staring at my washing machine like I'd never seen it before. It didn't make sense. It wasn't just memory playing tricks. Things were moving, rewriting themselves. The attic ladder used to creak when I pulled it down. I always hated that sound. One night, I climbed up and nearly fell through the floor because I didn't end up in the attic. I ended up in the basement. Same stained concrete floor. Same oil tank humming in the corner. But I'd gone up and I was now below ground. I didn't even try to understand it anymore. I just sat on the last step and let the cold air press in. It smelled like metal and dirt and something else. Something warm and damp like the inside of the mouth. I kept feeling like I was being breathed on, even when nothing moved. Then came the faucet. I turned it on to wash my hands. The water came out slow, like the pipes were tired. I reached for the soap, looked back, and the water wasn't falling into sink. It was rising. Tiny streams climbing upward in thin strands, curling in the air like smoke. No noise, just a soft hiss where it left the spout, and then up. My hand passed right through it, and it was cold, freezing, colder than any water I've ever touched. I shut it off. It kept going. I left it and walked out of the room. When I came back, the sink was dry. The air smelled sharp, almost metallic. The lights started flickering after that, one at a time, always just outside whatever room I was in. I'd hear the hum drop, feel the shadows stretch, then it would snap back, like the house was trying to catch me off guard, but hadn't quite figured out how. Then the walls started changing. I didn't notice at first, but one night, I ran my hand along the hallway, something I'd done 100 times without thinking, and it gave. Like the wallpaper wasn't glued down. I pressed a little harder and felt it shift. Warm, slightly damp. The drywall was gone. And at the end of that hallway, where there had never been anything before, was a door. It wasn't like the others. No frame, no knob, just a slab of black wood, smooth and quiet. Like it had always been there but waited until now to show itself. I didn't touch it. I still haven't. But some nights, I wake up facing that hallway. Lights off, door closed, and I could swear it's closer. I stopped using most of the lights. Not out of fear. At first, it was just habit. I'd flip the switch, and instead of steady glow, the bulbs would crackle and spark like they were shorting out. The light would stutter, on and off, too fast to follow. Then the walls began to respond. I didn't notice it until I paused one night in the kitchen, waiting for the flickering to settle. I leaned back against the wall, reached for a glass, and felt something shift behind me. At first I thought it was just the house settling, maybe a pipe expanding or the wood creaking, but it happened again. A dull thump under my hand, then another. I turned around and placed my palm flat against the drywall. It was warm, warmer than the room. And it was beating, slow, steady pulses, just like a heart. I stood there for a long time. Every part of me wanted to move, to leave, but I couldn't stop pressing my hand to that wall. Each beat came a little harder, like whatever was back there knew I was listening. After that night, the shadows started acting wrong. It wasn't just the absence of light anymore. They moved. I caught it first in the corner of my eye, something sliding just out of frame. I'd turn and it'd be still again, but the feeling stuck. That sense that something had just slipped away before I could catch it. And it didn't stop. Every time the lights flickered, they'd come alive, edges bending where they shouldn't, angles sharpening into shapes. I'd look down the hallway and see them stretch toward me like fingers, then snap back as soon as I blinked. Sometimes they didn't wait for the dark. There was one morning, early, maybe 5 a.m., when I sat up in bed, and the ceiling was moving. It swelled like lungs taking in air. Not fast. Slow. Gentle, almost. In and out. In and out. I just watched. Until I saw it. It dropped from the far corner of the ceiling. I didn't hear it. There was no sound. It just moved. Crawled across the plaster with limbs that bent the wrong way. Elbows pointing up, knees twisting sideways. It didn't look at me, never turned its head, but I knew it saw me, or sensed me. Its hands, if that's what they were, scraped softly against the surface, dragging behind it like they didn't belong to the rest of its body. The light buzzed above, blinking in and out. With each flicker, it jumped closer. Not walking, shifting. I didn't breathe. I didn't move. And just like that, it was gone. The light came on steady. The ceiling stopped pulsing. The room felt still again. But something had changed. The shadows weren't waiting anymore. They moved even when I watched. They clung to the walls like they'd wait. And sometimes when I turned too fast, I'd catch one a little too close. Like I hadn't had time to step back. I don't think they're hiding. I think they're watching. I don't remember the last sunrise. At first, I thought the days were just gray. Overcast. Maybe I'd just been sleeping through the morning without realizing it. But then I checked the time. 6 a.m., 7. 10. Noon. Still dark. Not even a hint of light on the horizon. I opened the door once just to see. To prove something to myself. And I swear to you, it wasn't night out there. It was worse than night. Like the sky had been erased. Everything was pressure black. A kind of darkness that didn't just cover things. It pushed. I shut the door and locked it. Like that would help. The house started changing faster after that. It didn't care about logic anymore. The kitchen door opened to the linen closet. The hall bathroom now emptied into the attic. The attic staircase fed into the back of the hallway. Like the house had looped in on itself. Every door was a trick. I tried running. That was stupid. I went from the kitchen, panicked, just grabbing my keys, thinking I could make a break for it. I opened the hallway door, and suddenly I was in a corridor I swear hadn't existed before. Narrow, windowless. The walls were so tight, I had to turn sideways just to move. Drywall pressed against my back and chest with each step, like it was breathing me in. When I finally got out of there, if you can call it that, I found myself back in the laundry room. No idea how. No memory of turning around. That's when the bulbs started melting. Not all at once. One by one. A hiss, a pop, and then a slow drip of hot glass stretching like syrup from the socket. I stood there with the last working light above me, watching it sag like it was made of wax. Then it dropped, hit the floor in a wet splat, not even shattering, just puddling into the sticky mess that hissed against the tiles. Darkness filled the room again, and that's when the whispering started. I didn't hear it with my ears. I heard it inside, soft at first, like someone thinking too loud, then louder, more voices, all of them mine. They were layered, stacked on top of each other, talking over one another in whispers that never stopped. The same sentence. Again and again. Don't fight it. Don't light it. Let it in. I covered my ears, pressed my palms in hard, but it didn't matter. They weren't speaking into my head. They were my head. I ran. I don't even know why or where. I opened a closet to hide and ended up in the attic. Again. But it wasn't an attic anymore. It was a hallway. Narrow. Red carpet. Walls throbbing like veins. Everything began to blur. Straight lines warped. Corners twisted. My legs felt longer than they were. My hands didn't match. I touched the wall, and it reached back, pulled just slightly, like the wallpaper wanted to keep part of me. I flipped on my flashlight. The beam bent midair. Bent, like it hit gravity sideways. And when it touched the walls, the entire space hissed, an angry hiss, like light was poison. And then, it all went quiet. Too quiet. That kind of silence where you can hear your own body too well. Your teeth clicking. Your heartbeat echoing behind your eyes. And still, those voices. Don't fight it. Don't light it. Let it in. They weren't whispering anymore. They were chanting. Slow. Careful. Smiling without lips. And for the first time since I came into this house, I understood something. There are no exits. Only entrances I haven't opened yet. I stopped trying to count the days. At some point, time just slipped, not in a dramatic way. More like a clock running down the last of its battery. Still ticking, but slower, hesitant, confused about which number comes next. I don't even know if it's morning or night anymore. I don't think it matters. The phone won't charge. It powers on for a few seconds, flickers, flashes a photo I didn't take, and then dies again. Always the same picture. Me, standing in a room I've never seen before, smiling like I belong there. Shirt I don't own. Wallpaper I don't recognize. And I swear in the corner of the frame, something just outside focus. A smear. Or maybe a person. I've tried deleting the picture. I've tried breaking the phone. It always comes back. I tried yelling once, just to hear my own voice, see if it still worked. Nothing came out. It wasn't that my throat hurt. It didn't. It was clean silence, like my voice had moved somewhere else and left me behind. I mouthed words. I screamed silently. I even tried humming. Not even a breath. Just a rustle in my thoughts, bouncing around too loudly in a place that wasn't built for them. I sleep, I think, or something close to it. But the dreams aren't mine. They feel borrowed. I wake up in different rooms now. Rooms I didn't walk into. Sometimes bigger, sometimes smaller. The light changes color. The floor shifts texture. Sometimes I wake up with bruises in the shape of hands too long to be mine. I found a mirror. Finally. I didn't look right away. It felt like one of those traps. Like once I looked, I couldn't unsee. But curiosity has teeth, and it gnawed at me until I gave in. I saw myself. Or something that used to be me. The eyes weren't in the right place. They were close, but not right. My smile was too wide. Lips dry. Teeth many. Too many. My reflection blinked twice, then tilted its head, like it was waiting for me to say something. And when I turned away, it didn't. It kept watching. The house breathes now. Not always, but often enough that I know when it's asleep and when it's listening. The walls expand with sound like stretching skin. The floors shiver when I walk too fast. I think it gets excited. Or maybe it's warning me. Maybe both. And I'm shrinking. Or the house is growing. I can't tell anymore. The ceilings feel farther. Doorknobs are a stretch. Even my clothes feel baggy, like they belong to a taller version of myself I can't find anymore. Sometimes I find scraps of paper with my handwriting. Notes I don't remember writing. One said, "Let it guide you." Another one said, "You are where you belong." And once in smudged ink, just the word "stay." I still try the lights. Out of habit. Or hope. Most of them don't work. But once in a while, one will flicker on. And for a few seconds, I see clearly. Too clearly. I see the skin I've shed. I see the shape my arms make now. I see what's growing in the corner. And then the bulb dies and the dark covers it again, like it's doing me a favor. But it never leaves me completely. I think I'm part of it now. Or it's part of me. And sometimes the lights still work. Just long enough to show me what I've become. I haven't slept in days. The lights won't stay on. And now neither will I. Has anyone else experienced something like this? Or maybe just heard of a house that hates the light? Let me know in the comments what you think's really going on.